All right. Good evening to everybody and welcome.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Yeah, you have lovely faces. Let's see them on the screen.
ओहो ऐसे
Welcome. 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 Okay. So for the rest of us, yeah, Lena, Viti,
Good evening,
Ruchi,
sir.
good
Good evening,
evening.
sir.
Good evening.
Good
Good
evening,
evening.
sir.
Good evening.
Good
Oh,
evening,
Hema
sir.
Baba. Good evening. All right. Here we go.
Hello, sir.
Hi.
How are you?
Alive and good.
Same here.
Hello, sir. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. Yes, everybody in. Okay. All right. So half the people are on the system, the half are blank tiles. Okay. Okay. So welcome to everybody and thank you for your time. This is a question and answer session largely intended to clarify doubts or gray areas on transpersonal regression work. Now, yeah. So quite a few of you probably have already gone through the hypnotherapy curriculum that we offer. There are some new faces here. And in that context, perhaps I will give you a brief précis on what TASSO is all about. And then, of course, if you have doubts or gray areas, then I can answer those for you. So when we come to the term transpersonal regression therapy, that's, four clear words: trans, personal, regression, and therapy. The key word around which this whole phrase rests is personal. And what does personal mean? I am the personality in charge, which obviously is the ideal state to be in. What is the measure by which you feel you are in charge of your life? Any suggestions? What makes you feel that you are in charge of your life? Yes, Binish.
Our human mind.
Human mind. But if your mind is disturbed, are you in charge of your life?
Yes, directly and indirectly. If depends on what area I am. Since me as a kid, I have limited access of my life, and mostly
Correct.
in charge of my life is my parents. To adult or a grown-up person, much other things are in his hand. Like if he go to job, his boss, his work life is in his boss's hand. Other things is in his hands. There's limited things, depends on people's age, position, and life overall.
Hmm. Okay. All right. So, according to you, to be in charge of your life is to have free will, to take your own decisions, from what I understand from what you're saying. Any other thoughts on this? When are you in charge of your life? Yes, Ruchi.
So when we feel that our body and mind they are in sync or in harmony with each other, I think that is where it is like personal.
By and large, when you are absolutely at peace, feeling whatever you feel, then you are in charge of your life. Okay? Which means if something goes amiss at work, somebody's made a mistake, and you feel very happy that you found that mistake, you get angry, you fire your employee, but you feel very pleased. Are you in charge? Of course, you're in charge, very much in charge. So, being in charge of your life essentially is being at peace with whatever you're feeling. And that's exactly how and when we say that the age of the mind and the age of the body is absolutely the same. Because I am very happy to feel what I am feeling. Now, of course, we have all experienced this n number of times. There are many, 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 many moments in which we are not in charge because we are feeling things we don't want to feel. So many times we feel depressed. You don't want to feel depressed. We feel hopeless. You don't want to feel hopeless. You feel frustrated. You don't want to feel frustrated. So, in all those moments when you are in the grip of a feeling that you do not wish to feel, then something or somebody is in charge. Now, in transpersonal regression, if you focus just on that feeling, because the body doesn't lie, So if you are feeling frustrated, or if you're feeling angry, or if you're feeling sad, and it's something you don't want to feel, the $1 million question is, what inside of you is feeling it? So the moment you focus on the emotion and you focus on the spot in the body, you almost very quickly, I can't use the word instantly, but very quickly go back to what or who in you is feeling that way. It pretty much gets you back to the source of this. Now, that source can be a younger version of you, that source can be a past life, that source can be something that doesn't belong to you at all. But just by focusing on the charge, you go back in time to who/what is feeling that way. And therefore, the regression becomes automatic. And the moment the regression becomes automatic, resolution is easy. Why is resolution easy? Because all our breakdowns happen when our body has to illogically live out something that was logical in a different time and in a different space. Understand this carefully. So, when does your body break down? Why do you get diabetes with repressed bitterness? Because something happened in your life, you felt bitter then, it was logical then. But when the body of today has to live something which is illogical today, it was logical back then. So the moment this wisdom comes to the body, that you know what, this doesn't belong to me, this doesn't belong to the here and the now. This actually belongs to a different file, maybe to a younger me, maybe to a past life. That's different, but it's not my story today. Then automatically, of course, when you do a therapeutic intervention, resolutions are natural. So when you look at trance, personal regression, personal, I'm the personality in charge. When I lose that charge and I focus on the problem, it naturally induces a trance. So in TASSO, we do not induce a hypnotic state. We go through body memory, and that's why it's much quicker. And obviously, once you find who or what is feeling that way, which becomes a regression, resolving it gives logic to the body of today to realize that I don't have to keep this anymore. So that, the long and short of it, is the crux of TASSO. Vinesh, your hand has been up for a while. You have a question?
Uh, I have everything what was yours back then is still yours. So and it still will be yours in the future too. So feeling anything at any time will be logical, right? Since if
No.
I was about angry
No.
something back then.
What was yours in the past is logical in the past. For example, you failed in the 5th standard in maths and you felt very inferior. Today, you are a chartered accountant gold medalist. Should you feel inferior? Answer is no.
We should not feel inferior, but we will still feel angry or
No,
regret.
the
So
entire
there is
approach to
some
life,
sort of
Binish,
feeling about
goes
that.
when you marry an emotion longer than what you need to feel about it. This is the root cause of human disease. So it is not about disowning an emotion. It is about experiencing an emotion, acknowledging it, and dropping it. It's over. You can't do anything about it. Get it? All right. Is the basic concept clear? All right. Now, obviously, since we are not inducing a trance through overloading the mind, the route becomes quicker. Point one. Point number two, and this is for all those of you who are already practicing hypnotherapy. In hypnotherapy, we do need to reaffirm the cell memory release command, because you've gone through the mind, and now when new cells are getting regenerated in the body, you need to make sure that the new program does not carry the impressions of the old one. In TASSO, since you are reliving the experience through the body, the cathartic release is very instant and complete, which is why you don't need to necessarily go through cell memory release commands. So, on a comparative framework, when people ask me the difference between hypnotherapy and TASSO, TASSO is sharp. I often say it's not for new clients. Do not use it prematurely, because it's like a laser surgery. For TASSO to work well, you need a client who understands what healing is. Then TASSO is very fast, very, very quick, provided the person understands what healing is and has gone through this journey. For brand new clients, I always recommend start with Hypno. It's softer, it's gentler, almost, if I could, put it as masculine and feminine, then hypnotherapy is very feminine and TASSO is very masculine. Or traditional surgeries, a couple of years back, if you wanted a gallbladder surgery done, you need to get admitted. The doctor will check your diabetes, etc. And then there's an incision of 3 to 4 inches. They will cut your gallbladder, ligate it. You'll stay in the hospital for 2, 3 days. The soft approach. Now you need a gallbladder removal, pinhole surgery, one hole for the camera, one hole for the laser, one hole for the suction. 2-hour process. TASSO is like that. So in TASSO, we are still very much using regression work. We are very much using inner child. We are very much using entity work. It's just that the weave is different. The weave is very specific. And so a majority of our students land up actually learning both, because depending on the kind of client you get, there's some clients who are like those proverbial bad pennies that will keep coming back into your wallet, no matter how much work you do. For them, TASSO is very fast. But otherwise, in general, EKA is much more powerful on awareness. So when people want to understand life, I recommend do the EKA program. When people want to sharpen therapeutic skills, so this is normally recommended for people who are intending to take up therapy as a career. Okay, it's for that category of people. Besides that, it's the only program that I have studied, and well, over the last 25 years, I've pretty much traveled the world in this line of work. But it's, I think, one of the only programs I know that can even trace an issue that can go beyond Earth. So most healing modalities, whether it is Reiki or Theta healing or pranic healing, hypnotherapy, takes Earth school as the last barometer of being able to work. But just in case you have a soul origin that is outside of Earth, that's beyond Earth, and you are bringing in a certain facet from there onto planet Earth, you will have multiple past lives with that issue, and no amount of past life regression will solve the problem, because you will actually need to go back to before you landed on Earth. So that is another major depart with TASSO. Yes, Binish, hand is up.
As he said before, that he said TASSO is a much more harder approach for
Sharper
people.
tool. Not harder, sharper.
Sharper tool for people, and the people only who know how to actually heal should have, and the people,
Yes.
other type of people should go in another category, what you mentioned.
Softer route. Correct.
Yes. So, is there a reason why TASSO is not good for people who don't know how to heal? Could you please list some
Because
things?
TASSO insists that you need a good and solid functional adult to be able to handle your issue. TASSO is not for people who are into the blame game. TASSO begins and ends with the fact that I am my own God. And everything that happens to me or in me or around me starts with me and ends with me. Now, that's not an easy line to adapt. We can talk about it theoretically and over a cup of tea and say, yeah, yeah, very powerful, how motivational. But in reality, check. It's not so easy for people to make peace with that. Whereas TASSO needs a very, very solid adult.
Does actually client come in TASSO before they go in the software area first and then come to TASSO? Because I don't it's not very easy the way you're describing that my own God. There's always somebody to blame for something.
Yeah, yeah,
Even
yeah.
it can
So
be
TASSO
God
is not for
itself.
such people. That's exactly what I'm saying. TASSO is not for that. It's not for the group of people that's looking to blame others for what's happening. Because at the end, TASSO will make you understand that everything that's happening in your universe is happening just the way it has to happen. Your lack of understanding of it is your problem. It's not the universe's problem.
Hmm, that was great.
Okay. Yeah, Shenas, your hand is up.
Hi, sir.
I
If basically if I'm learning, doing courses to get into the field of therapy or become a therapist, then would you suggest that I do hypnotherapy first or TASO first, or does the order not matter?
no, Shenas, that see, but to give you a perspective, basically I introduced TASSO in India. We bought TASSO into India in 2008, largely as an advanced program for our own hypnotherapy graduates, for people who wanted to specialize in regression work.
Sure.
And even to date, the majority of the TASSO graduates who pass through the ACA school are ex-ACA students. But there are exceptions. There are exceptions. And let us say you haven't done hypnotherapy and you want to go straight into TASSO, I would probably interview you for some time and check what is your background, what kind of work have you done, are you comfortable with the concept of regression work, so those kind of things. That's it.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, Sony.
Sir, I have two questions. One,
Hi.
I heard even from a ex-TASSO student, and that she told me
Yes.
कि if you will go for the TASSO, you have to fully forget about the clinical hypnotherapy because it's two different, entirely different branch. So my first question, is this true? Like, or she said कि you have
Well,
to erase the whole backboard and then you
well,
have to again rewrite everything.
so I very often teach hypnotherapy level 5. I teach TASSO level 1. That's not true at all. You don't have to forget anything. They're basically, it's like heads and tails. To learn tails, do you need to forget heads?
Okay.
No. You just have to be smart enough to know how to use what, when, where, and why. That's it. You don't have to forget anything.
Sir, and
All
my
right?
second question is like right now you said कि in TASSO obviously we can't blame. Even in clinical hypnotherapy during session we can't blame each other, anyone. We have to just create the awareness.
Correct.
Awareness, what exactly scenario and how you have to deal it.
Correct.
So in TASSO also when we will do the healing or therapies, it's the same way like awareness will become.
हाँ, फर्क ये है ना सोनी that in hypno, because you are doing PAB, you're doing void, you're softening that impact.
Hmm.
Tasso goes straight. That's all.
So it means the time limit will be less. Like in
Correct.
hypno, we'll have to conduct at least 8 or 10 or sometimes more
Yes,
session.
that's
In
right.
SO2,
Yes,
maybe 2, 3 session, we will
that is
get the
correct.
result.
That is the big difference. Correct.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
That is the big difference. Okay. Yeah, Binish?
So, in simple terms, how do you actually handle with the patients? Does most of the patient come from that softer area first before coming to TASSO?
No, basically, Binish, see what happens is that once you get into therapy, the kind of energy that you exude will determine what kind of patients and clients you will attract. Okay. So if you are going to specialize, and I know enough, a lot of my senior trainers, for example, in TASSO, who practice only TASSO, and that's fine. And they do great work. There's no problem with that. They just get those kind of clients. Also because therapy as a practice is not something that you can build through advertising. This is a very referral based story, trust based story. And so you will automatically kind of attract clients that you best can resolve. You don't really have to worry too much about that.
Why would clients will come to TASSO? Because if you are in peace with yourself and know and don't blame anything for anybody for anything, then at this point you're practically a god. Why would you wanna go to any therapy?
No, well, the question technically is just because I am God, my body breaks down because I don't have the logic for it. That's the difference here, which is what I explained half an hour back. Otherwise, you are happier off doing Reiki or some energetic intervention.
Well, I still
Both
didn't
any
understand.
modality involving the mind will start with a basic premise that your life and your world starts with you and ends with you.
I still
Any
didn't
modality
understand.
involving the mind will start from there.
Could you please try to make it simplified for me to understand? I didn't understand.
Correct. So essentially, it just goes back to Aham Brahmasmi. I am the Lord and creator of my own universe. So, well, scientifically speaking, if I were to simplify this and give this to you, you come on the earth school largely to create reality through feelings, because that's how you discover that you're God. Your DNA gets influenced by your feelings, which are repressed in the body, and your DNA also creates reality. So now, if you take A equal to B and B is equal to C, the moment you repress an emotion in your body and it becomes a feeling, that feeling will go into your DNA. That DNA will create reality that will prove to you exactly what you're feeling. That's how the circle works. And this is all quantum physics. So there are experiments that prove each one of these things.
Okay, I understood now.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? All right. Also, unlike hypnotherapy, TASSO, when we start a class, the class constitution remains unchanged till we end. So people don't come in and go out. It's not like that. And your graduation requirements are spelled out from the beginning. So TASSO will insist on a lot of personal work, which means between two modules, the class will get split into homework groups. You'll have three people in your group, and there's a certain fixed amount of work that you have to do on each other before you go into the next module. So I find it one of the world's strongest washing machines, and it doesn't leave you with a choice. Okay. So it will absolutely push you into the dark corner, but then that's for your own benefit. Okay. So uh, homework groups, there are written exams, three written exams, one after module 3, one after module 5. And you have a mentor who will supervise your work. So in terms of certifications, there's nothing you have to do after you finish. Your certificate finishes by the time you finish module 6. There are no submissions to be done after that. But it's during the journey that there's a lot of self work that you will have to get into and you'll have to report. So, again, as I said, it's for people who intend to be serious therapists. It's a very sharp tool to master. Any other doubts or questions? Yes, Binish.
I don't know why I feel like I'm the only one asking questions, but anyways, my question, I wanted you to
You don't
re-explain.
have to feel awkward about that. That's fine. You have the right to ask, and it is my dharma to answer.
Okay. Anyways, my question before re-explain the old question I asked about that thing. Why would you need a therapy when you're in peace with yourself?
Yeah, yeah. So just the fact that I know that I am God doesn't take away from the fact that in my stomach I have acidity because I feel helpless. How do you answer that?
It
That
can be
knowledge alone is
through.
not enough.
No, it can be through because your lifestyle. Maybe you're not eating good because of that. Not it generally don't
No,
have
the,
to be
the, the
related to the
question
mind.
is the question is then why is your lifestyle like that? When you know something doesn't work for you, why will you go out of your way to eat it? Then you are in self-sabotage mode, no?
No, let's think like this that some person who can't consume ordinary milk and can consume some sort of other milk, but that milk is too
Correct.
expensive. So he adjusts with that milk, only the one who he can't consume and is not good for his stomach, for getting basic nutrition.
No, so Binish, the $1 million question is if the whole world can consume milk, why are you not able to consume it? Yeah, you
Maybe
don't
it
like
can
it,
be
it's a different story. Yeah,
yeah,
you don't like it, that's a totally different story. But ideally, why are you not able to consume it?
can be because of DNA or some sort
No,
of
no,
a
no. So
medical
that's
history you
exactly
had
where
it
all
before.
this work comes in. No, I just explained to you that DNA is controlled by repressed feelings. It is DNA, very much so. But
No,
what triggers
no,
that DNA is repressed feelings.
no. Let's see
But
for like this that his mother or father couldn't consume that milk either, and that passed down to him.
yes, so that is ancestral loyalty, which again is an emotion. No?
Okay, but that's going above my head. Too complicated.
So whenever you have any ancestral issue, it is one ancestor right on the top of the line that has an emotional problem, and that comes down the DNA.
Okay, that's much more simpler. Thank you.
Yes, got it. Okay. Any other questions, doubts, gray areas?
Hi, Mr. Yuvraj. Maria,
Hi, how are
I,
you?
I'm good. Just on that point about, I met someone during the summer. It was actually a lady who was a professor of psychology. But we were doing this thing out in trees, and she was like, "Oh, I can't be here. I'm allergic to trees." And I was just like, that's ridiculous. Meaning, in the sense of you can't be allergic to nature when you're a part of nature.
Correct.
But it was interesting was then it turned out her daughter, who is, let's say, second, third year in college, is literally confined to home because her allergic reactions to everything are so bad that she's confined in her house. But just to that point, like part of me was like, that doesn't even make sense. You're a part of nature. It's totally illogical. It's something much grosser, you know. But I did a family constellation and there was loads of stuff. But yeah, just on that point. Just
Absolutely.
a practical
Correct.
point. Yeah, sorry.
No, so essentially, the long and short of it happens to reaffirm that out of emotional vulnerability and loyalty, we lose charge of our lives. That's what it comes down to. Whether it is emotional loyalty and vulnerability in the generations above or in the generations below.
It's
Absolutely.
just interesting. You get to an instinct where something is so grossly illogical on a primary level that it doesn't make sense. But because everyone's like, oh well, her mother is like this, it's normalized, but it's totally essentially untrue. Yeah. Yeah,
Absolutely.
sorry. Just in terms of the practicals, is it that all of the classes and everything are held in Dubai with the groups and stuff?
Yeah,
Homeworks?
yeah,
Yeah.
very much in Dubai.
Mm. And people practice then in person, yes, with the homework.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, 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 absolutely.
I kind of think your point is wrong, though, ma'am.
You're telling
So,
ma'am something?
and
Yeah.
that she said before that her mother was like this, and some things are passed down like this, and it's not totally illogical if somebody looks like the way they do because of the genetics, genes passed down through their parents. It's
Yes.
not controllable, and they don't and since it's normalized by the society, they don't think it's a problem, so they never fix that thing. So it's not
No, but they do.
totally
They
illogical.
do. No, no, they do. They do, Vinish. I have a lot of people who come, breast cancer from 3 generations, but they do come for healing and they do try to fix it.
Yes, because
Just
it's
because my
threatening
mother
their
had breast
life.
cancer, my grandmother had breast cancer, does not make me naturally eligible to die out of breast cancer. That's not correct.
What I find is it's epigenetics. You have a
Yeah,
predisposition in your genes to have
absolutely.
that gene, but it's yet your environment and etc. other factors that
Other
turn it
factors
either
that come in.
on or off. So I've had women, because
Totally.
I do ultrasound, who are obsessed with having ovarian cancer, and they're convinced and they're repeating it. They've had 3 children under 3 years old, so they've had around 6 scans. And they're in their 30s. But if they are repeating, I'm going to get ovarian cancer, I'm going to get, and I've literally had to stop them and say, stop this, you have no evidence. And second of all, my grandmother died of it. I don't go around doing that because it's epigenetics, it's turned on or off. The BRCA1, you don't just take out every organ. But that's the
Absolutely.
culture says, cancer, you're going to get it. And the belief is so strong.
No, if you, Binish, get to read Bruce Lipton's Biology of Belief, he'll show you how a stem cell can convert itself into any cell depending on what petri dish you grow it in. And there's a lot of research out on that. Okay. Ankita, your hand is up.
Hello, sir.
How are you?
Sir, I'm good, sir. How are you?
Alive.
Sir, uh, regarding TASSO, so I would want to know where is the limitations of clinical hypnotherapy where TASSO can come into play? I'm asking this as a therapist. How can I help my clients? Where and
Two
what? If you
things.
can give me an example. Yeah, please
Two
tell me, sir.
things.
Hmm.
In hypnotherapy, we do not touch depression.
Okay. Hmm.
That's what we do. That's one.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. And number two, as I said, if the origin is from beyond Earth,
Mm-hmm.
which
Yeah.
is not very common, but it is there. These are two outstandingly different situations. Otherwise, hypnotherapy, very good in everything. It's no problem. Just that it takes a little longer. That's all.
Okay.
It's softer, as we say.
Answer in TASSO, how many sessions, like, how is it shorter than clinical hypnotherapy, like in regarding
No,
like
so the
session wise
main
or what?
thing in TASSO, Ankita, is the specificity. Like to give you an example,
Yeah.
in hypnotherapy, we do core issue work in the very first round. In TASSO, you do core issue in the last module. So it's completely polar opposite. Okay.
Okay.
Now, let's say in hypnotherapy, the core issue comes out to be guilt. But TASSO will work with what kind of guilt? So it's only a
Mm.
certain guilt which comes up when I lie to my mother or to my parents. If I
Mm.
kill a cockroach, I don't feel guilty. So the whole approach in TASSO is the texture of the emotion. Like you can have infinite shades of anger or infinite shades of guilt or infinite shades of frustration.
Mm.
So when you come with TASSO and say, you know, I get extremely scared when I have to face my boss to make a presentation. Let us say that's your story. Then TASSO will work just with that specific fear, not a generic fear of facing 5,000 people and talking. Got
Okay.
it? That's why it's quick.
Okay. Great.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Yes, Binish.
I'm here to tackle that thing again. So as you said before, that if somebody have a allergy to something, then that is a suppressed emotion or some sort of emotion what they have
Yes, it
buried.
is.
And
It is basically a negative association emotionally with the allergen.
yes, okay, so they, and that has been passed down through their genes.
Maybe, not all allergies are hereditary, no? A lot of people get allergies which their parents don't have.
Yeah, but yeah, because they have developed in them. But the case I'm saying is genetically. So the genetic person has give some sort of negative emotion, passed down
Which
some
is
sort of
coming down the
negative
line.
emotion.
Yes, correct.
Okay, and instantly when their generation achieves or inherits that emotion at a certain time, they gets that allergy with it. But
Correct.
since I have a allergy and I got it as a very young child when I wasn't able to even feel any sorts of emotion. So what would you say in this case?
No, you've inherited it from your mother's womb, no?
Yeah, but my mother don't have that.
Common sense will tell you, Binish, that if you look at emotions, then NLP tells you that you cannot feel an emotion without a neural network. Common sense will also tell you that as a fetus in the womb of your mother, you really don't have a neural network. But I've lost track of the number of people who have regressed to feeling rejected because their mother got a thought of aborting the child. How did the child pick up rejection if there was no neural network? Well, the child picked up rejection because inside the child there's an inner adult.
Inner
That's
adult.
how it gets passed out. Okay.
No, still break it down for me. Again, simplify it for me.
So, when you are in the womb of your mother, you do not have a neural network. So, technically, you are incapable of feeling an emotion by pure science. But we have lost track of the number of people who regress back into the womb of the mother and feel very powerful emotions. So, then the question is, who is feeling the emotion? If the child doesn't have a neural network, who is feeling the emotion? It is an inner adult. It's a past life, which is already woken up. And it's woken up in the womb of the mother. That's
No,
how.
so you're saying somebody has felt an emotion inside of their mother, so
Yes.
they're lying, they're
Yes.
lying.
Well, if their heart hold disappears after the session, I couldn't care if they were lying or not lying because my focus is the result. I've lost track of the number of people whose congenital issues have resolved. We are
Okay,
not
but
here
I
as
haven't
historians,
felt
no, Binish.
anything.
When we talk of therapy, what is our role? We are not we are not custodians of the law, and we are not historians to prove what is right or wrong. We are here to heal people. So even if with their lies they heal, would you care? I don't
A
think
bit,
so.
a
Why
bit,
would you?
since because they're going on the wrong path, and we
I've
are the
had
cause of
I've
it.
had a 23-year-old girl reverse fourth stage cancer by narrating a movie story that caused her breast cancer. But in 3 weeks, the breast cancer went. Should I bother about the fact that she's lying or she's imagining it? Not at all.
Well, you just did definitely. Well, it's kind of like she get another disorder now that she will
No,
be
she's
imagining
fine.
it.
She's married. She's absolutely okay. This case was done in 2012. We are in 2024. She's a medical doctor. She practices in Bangalore. No problem.
Okay, I don't know in this case.
Yeah, yeah, Binish. As I said, now you'll start to realize that as you get into life, therapy is a subjective approach to an objective disorder. That is why
Okay,
it's
but
therapy. That's why
in my
it's not modern medicine. Got it?
okay. But in my case, I didn't even remember. My first memories wasn't even formed because I was so little.
No, that can be due to a variety of other things, Binish. You could have jumped out of the body. Like there can be n number of things for not remembering. And there's no one straight
Okay.
answer to that. Because it would also depend on how much presence you brought into your body when you came in. Depends on that. Okay.
So
Yeah, Ruchi.
confusing.
So, sir, I have a question. Not to name the person, but in hypno class, we saw somebody that that girl was cured of allergy, that dairy, sir. So my question is, that girl had done a TASSO also. So how do we make out like whether it has to come to the hypnotherapy to deal with that allergy, or we can do it with TASSO as well? So how do we
No, no, you
differentiate
can.
that
So,
what is?
Ruchi, when you actually study TASSO, no, it will teach you exactly which areas are areas in which you should easily do TASSO, and what are the areas in which you should go into hypnotherapy. There's a very clear categorization on that.
Okay,
Like,
so
for
if we do
example,
that course,
yeah, we don't use TASSO, for example, to quit smoking. We don't use TASSO for weight loss. We don't use TASSO where you want to use the suggestive power of the mind to change things.
okay,
So TASSO does not
okay,
operate on suggestions because it presumes that you have a functional adult. Whereas in
mm,
hypnotherapy, we do have a lot of suggestive work.
okay.
That's the
So
big
that is
difference
the
again.
difference.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? Cool. Good. So in that situation, good luck. I think we have quite a diverse batch here. There are a few of you who are from Kolkata. I think Madhuri is going to start TASSO there. A few of you are from Delhi, where Alka is starting a batch early next year. A few of you from Dubai, in which case, if y'all are coming in, then I will run into y'all in December when I come to Dubai, 15th. Otherwise, sleep well, enjoy your life. It's precious, use it well, and see ya.
Thank
Good
you so
luck. Bye bye.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you,
Bye.
sir.
You are
Thank you,
welcome.
sir. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Good
Okay.
night.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Good night,
Thank you.
sir. Bye.
Thank
Good
you.
night. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Bye. Good night.